United still want Grealish, an astonishing night of European football. Haller close to Ajax switch, the most ridiculous transfer story you've ever heard, and a news roundup all coming up in the next few minutes. As I'm your host, Matt Froelich, you are the OneFootballers, and this is the Daily News. So first off, and before we get on to, honestly, one of the wildest transfer stories you've ever heard, United. Grealish, the move is apparently still on, and it all hinges on Paul Pogba. In fact, where Pogba's future may lie, either in this month or in the summer transfer window, is the cause of some debate, and I've got an inkling as to where I think he will end up, and you can watch that on the channel on a video later. But if he does go, United are going to want a serious amount of money for him. I mean, they paid 89 million for Pogba about 4 or 5 years ago, and now, even though he hasn't been performing at his best, they're still going to want some money, and that money that comes in could go towards Jack Grealish. Obviously, a lot of teams have been interested in Grealish. I mean, there's been Spurs, Manchester City, Manchester United, Liverpool even mentioned at one stage, and even a few teams from abroad, and, well, with good reason. We've seen it in the Premier League this season. When Aston Villa have been on form and playing really well and putting together some incredible results, Jack Grealish has been at the heart of it. He's created the most chances in the Premier League this season out of anybody, and this is from a team which historically aren't really going to be challenging the European spots, even though this season they definitely do have a chance. Regardless of whether they do actually finish in a Europa League or a Champions League spot, the move to Manchester United is a step up. There'll of course be lots of fans saying, no, the finish, why is he going to play under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, this, that and the other. But just in terms of United being a consistent Champions League challenger, even if they don't finish in the top 4, and the money that goes with it as well, it is a step up for Grealish. The question is though, how are they going to fit him into the side? It's clear that the Pogba-Fernandes relationship hasn't been bad, but it hasn't necessarily struck a chord to the point where both of them are starters in the team. Fernandes is a definite starter at United, Pogba not so much. So if Grealish comes into the squad, where's he going to play? Personally, if they're going to play with the double pivot, I think Grealish could play further forward, maybe as part of the attack alongside the likes of Martial and Marcus Rashford. Anyway, that was all on a night which, well, didn't go too well for Manchester United and for Marcus Rashford in particular. That is because they lost. To put it short and simple, they lost to Manchester City, and that was on the eve of Rashford being named the most valuable player for a transfer in the world, according to the CIES Observatory, which takes into account his age, his potential, how long is left in his contract, and how much he will cost would he move from the club. As for Manchester City, well, they put together a rather good performance, especially Ruben Dias. Oh my word, the centre-back has fitted into Pep Guardiola's team so well, and last night was another perfect example of that. But the fun in the football does not stop there. Lionel Messi was back at it again as he scored 2 goals as Barcelona beat Athletic Bilbao to take themselves a little bit nearer the top of the table. They are still quite a few points behind Atletico Madrid, but certainly a positive sign in the new year for Ronald Koeman. Not a positive sign though for Atletico Madrid, as they weren't playing in La Liga last night, they were playing in the Copa del Rey and they lost. They lost to UE Cornellà, and it now means that Diego Simeone's side have now lost to a lower league team for the second year in a row in the cup competition. They'll be hoping that the league goes a little bit better for them. And talking of teams who are slowly getting towards the top of the table, that is also what's happening for Juventus. Andrea Pirlo's time at the champions of Italy hasn't exactly been all good so far, but after a massive victory last night, they could fight their way back into the title race. They won 3-1 at AC Milan, the league-leading AC Milan. The AC Milan who hadn't been beaten up until last night, and it was a stunning victory for Pirlo's men. They are now 7 points behind the league leaders AC Milan, and for big rivals Inter Milan, things really didn't go so well. They stay in second place, but Alexis Sanchez missed a penalty, and well, Inter lost 2-1 to Sampdoria with their on-loan midfielder Candreva. Actually, he got a goal against his parent club. Lastly but not least, in this quick roundup of last night's footballing action, things got off to an indifferent start from Mauricio Pochettino at PSG as Moise Kean rescued a point away at Saint Etienne. Okay, moving on then into another big piece of transfer news, one that's actually kind of shocking me. Apparently Sebastien Haller is this close to a move to Ajax. Now, he has played in the Eredivisie before, but moving from West Ham to Ajax after just a year and a half of a huge money move, around 50 million euros, seems a little bit odd. I mean, no disrespect to Ajax, but they're not playing in a stronger league as the Premier League. Ajax are a very good team. They'd say they're better. I would say they are better than West Ham. And also on top of this, they get to play Champions League football. But after just a year and a half, at 26 years old, he's definitely got time to prove himself in the Premier League. This looks like a bit of a step back, or maybe it's a step up. It's kind of difficult to decide when a player goes to Ajax, but for West Ham as well, apparently they're going to be accepting around 25 million euros for the striker. They're losing a lot of money on him. He's gaining a lot of money because he's signing a big contract at Ajax worth a lot of money per week. It just seems like a little bit of an odd deal. You feel like if he was to do well at Ajax, clubs will come in for him again and then he'd make another big transfer. It just doesn't really make sense now. Anyway, it's a good signing for them should it go through, and that is because they've got Klaas-Jan Huntelaar, who's retiring at the end of the season, and also Lassina Traore up front, who in fact is interesting West Ham. So obviously they want a striker and they don't want Allaire, so maybe there's some sort of player exchange to be done. Next up then, and we promised it, one of the most ridiculous transfer stories you will be hearing. It's in line with Peter Odemwingie, who drove to QPR to try and literally get the club to buy him. I think this is a little bit more ridiculous than that, and it's Royal Antwerp in Belgium and their forward Didier Lamkelzee. Now, sorry if I pronounced that wrong, but the forward had a bit of an argument with security because he wasn't let in to his own club. The reason why, he's trying to force a move to Greek side Panathinaikos, so he turned up at Antwerp in an Anderlecht kit, one of their biggest rivals in the division, and on top of this, he said he would turn up also in a Beerschot kit too, the main city rivals of Antwerp. He's desperately trying to anger the club and force a move, and this is just not the way to go about it. I always feel like when this stuff happens, not only do you look like an idiot and the club don't want to let you go, the club won't play you if you stay, but also, what kind of message does it send to your future employers? Like, Panathinaikos now know that they're taking on a guy who, let's say he wants to leave the Greek team in another year, another 18 months, let's say an even bigger club coming for him. They know they're going to be dealing with someone who is capable of throwing that kind of tantrum that he's going to fight with security guards and turn up in an opposition kit. Like, it really doesn't bode well for his team now or for his future employers, but at the moment he is still a Royal Antwerp player and he's had to go on all of the club's social media and provide an apology, and it's just the most forced thing ever. Like, you know he's got to do it, and you know the fans are going to be like, okay, he said an apology, but really, are any of them going to believe it? He's sitting there like, oh, it was the heat of the moment, I'm so sorry, I love the fans, I respect all of you, this, that, and the other. It's just not a thing. I think the die has been cast and he'll be very lucky if they manage to let him go and he gets that move that he so desperately wants. So lastly then we come to a quick roundup of the rest of the news that you might have missed, and Sergen Yalcin, the Besiktas head coach, has admitted that they are in talks to bring 34-year-old Mario Mandzukic back to European football. Elsewhere, and Wolves have recalled Patrick Cutrone on loan from Fiorentina because, well, they need some cover for Raul Jimenez, who is back in light training just a few months after suffering that fractured skull. Elsewhere, and Mesut Ozil has apparently agreed a 3.5-year deal to Fenerbahce, not DC United like we mentioned on yesterday's Daily News. And lastly but not least, there's bad news for Wayne Rooney and Derby County. The whole first team has been put into lockdown because of an outbreak of COVID, meaning that this weekend in the FA Cup against Chorley, their whole team and their management staff is going to be made up of the under-18s and the under-23s. That's all from me for today. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you guys soon.